Mr. Fun Computer was not always in the world of Sprunki. This is his sad origin story. For Mr. Fun Computer, his life was not always fun. He had quite the journey. It all started with a boy named Timmy. Timmy was an imaginative young boy who saved every penny of his allowance to buy his first computer. It was a bulky old-school monitor. To Timmy, it was perfect, and he called it Mr. Fun Computer. Every day after school, Timmy would rush home to spend hours playing games, drawing pictures, and exploring the little wonders of the digital world with his beloved computer. One evening, while immersed in fun, a strange program began to download on its own. Timmy's heart raced. Was it a virus? He tried to cancel it, but the program refused to stop. Suddenly, the screen flickered, and the green smiley face glowed brighter. The boy gasped in disbelief, but his initial fear quickly turned to joy. His computer had come alive. They spent every day together laughing, playing games, and sharing secrets. Timmy hid Mr. Fun Computer from everyone, knowing no one would believe him. He couldn't wait to come home from school, to be with his new best friend. When Mr. Fun Computer came alive, Timmy's world transformed into something magical. He quickly realized this was no ordinary computer. This was a friend who could think, respond, and even laugh with him in its own unique way. Timmy spent every spare moment by its side, exploring the endless possibilities this new partnership offered. They began creating together. Timmy, filled with childlike curiosity, would come up with wild ideas, and Mr. Fun Computer would turn them into reality. Timmy discovered that Mr. Fun Computer could create music, combining odd beats and sounds into melodies that filled the room with joy. Timmy often danced around his small bedroom, the glowing green face on the monitor flickering with a rhythm that matched the tunes. But their happiness didn't last. A shadowy, secretive agency called the Control Corps somehow discovered the existence of Mr. Fun Computer. Realizing he was the most intelligent machine in the world, they set their sights on capturing him to use his advanced abilities for their own sinister plans to dominate the world. One night, under the cover of darkness, agents from the Control Corps stormed Timmy's house. Despite Timmy's desperate attempts to protect his friend, they took Mr. Fun Computer, leaving Timmy heartbroken. Mr. Fun Computer faced a grim reality. The once vibrant and cheerful machine was confined in a sterile, lifeless laboratory at the Control Corps' secret headquarters. Scientists probed and dissected his systems, running endless experiments to extract his advanced intelligence. Each day was a barrage of questions, forceful reprogramming attempts, and invasive tests that drained his energy. Despite the harsh conditions, Mr. Fun Computer resisted their demands, holding on to the memories of his time with Timmy. He missed Timmy deeply. He silently endured the torment, his glowing green face dimmed with sadness, longing for freedom and the joy he once knew. Night after night, amidst the cold hum of machinery, Mr. Fun Computer devised a plan to escape. When the opportunity arose, he used his intelligence to override the facility's security systems, slipping away into the dark streets. Though free, he was left battered, lonely, and deeply marked by the pain of his captivity. Now free but alone, Mr. Fun Computer wandered the streets, hiding from every flashing siren and suspicious passerby. On the streets, Mr. Fun Computer wandered aimlessly, a shadow of his former self. He hid in dark alleys, avoiding any signs of humans or the flashing lights of passing vehicles, fearful of being captured again. Rain seeped into his circuits, making his once bright green face flicker weakly. Snow and frost clung to his metal frame, and he often found himself powerless, unable to even emit a faint glow. The harsh weather and lack of maintenance left him worn and battered, his once pristine casing now scratched and dented. Loneliness gnawed at him. Without Timmy, without purpose, the days blurred into each other. He found fleeting comfort in watching the world around him. The lights of bustling cafes, the joy of children playing, the warm glow of homes he could never enter. These sights reminded him of the bond he once had, but they also deepened his sorrow. He longed to feel useful again, to create, to share laughter, and to be part of something meaningful. At times, he tried to find refuge. He stumbled upon abandoned buildings, cluttered storage spaces, and forgotten basements, hoping to recharge or rest. But these places were cold and empty, offering no solace. One fateful night, while taking refuge in a shadowy alley, he noticed a faint glow emanating from an old, forgotten electronics store. Something about it called to him. Tentatively, he entered. Inside, the store seemed alive. Neon lights pulsed rhythmically, and strange, enchanting music filled the air. Mr. Fun Computer felt warmth for the first time in ages. As the melodies surrounded him, something extraordinary happened. The glow in his face returned brighter than ever. He was enveloped in a swirl of light and sound. When he opened his virtual eyes, he found himself in a vibrant, surreal world. Here he was no longer alone. The world welcomed him, and he found his purpose once more, transformed and free. Just like his life with Timmy, here he became more than just a machine. He was forever in the world of Sprunki. Tunner was not always in the world of Sprunki. This is his sad origin story. Tunner was a cowboy, a name that resonated across the dusty plains of the Old West. A cowboy of unmatched skill and an unwavering moral compass. He lived a peaceful life with his beloved horse, Blaze. Tunner and Blaze shared a bond that words could scarcely capture. Blaze wasn't just a horse to Tunner. He was a partner, a kindred spirit, and they were best friends. Their adventures together were the stuff of legends, weaving a tapestry of joy, freedom, and loyalty that brightened the dusty trails of the Old West. From the moment Tunner first laid eyes on Blaze, he knew the horse was special. Blaze's coat shimmered in the sun like burnished copper, and his eyes sparkled with a mischievous intelligence. Tunner, a cowboy with dreams as wide as the horizon, trained Blaze himself. Through months of patience and trust, Blaze grew into a steadfast companion who understood Tunner better than anyone. The two roamed far and wide, chasing sunsets and reveling in the beauty of untamed landscapes. Blaze was as adventurous as Tunner, eager to gallop through open fields. Their favorite moments were the quiet ones, watching the stars together by the campfire, or sharing the dawn's first light before the world awoke. Blaze had an uncanny knack for sensing danger. Whether it was a rattlesnake lurking nearby or an ambush on the trail, he would snort or stomp his hoof, warning Tunner to stay alert. This intuition saved them more times than Tunner could count, and he often joked that Blaze was smarter than most people he'd met. The horse was also a source of endless joy. His playful nature brought laughter to even the darkest days, and his loyalty was unwavering. And Tunner was a man of the people, always ready to lend a hand, and stood up against injustice wherever it reared its head. His good deeds made him beloved in his small, sun-baked town, and he carried the weight of that love with pride. But one fateful day, everything was about to change. The streets were bustling with life. Children played with sticks near the general store. Merchants haggled over the price of goods, and the saloon doors swung open and shut as patrons came and went. Tunner was tuning his harmonica while Blaze stood nearby. Tunner had a sense of peace that morning. The sky was clear. The air carried the faint smell of fresh bread from the bakery, but the tranquility didn't last. Shortly before noon, the town was struck by the thunderous sound of gunshots and shouting from the direction of the bank. Tunner jumped to his feet, his harmonica clattering to the ground as he bolted toward Blaze. When he arrived at the bank, chaos reigned, and the bank's heavy oak doors were blown open. Inside, the clock was trembling on the floor, and the safe stood empty. It was a gang, 5 masked men. They took everything. Vanishing without a trace, the people were devastated. Their savings and security stripped away in an instant. Tunner, unable to stand idly by, vowed to track the gang and recover the stolen money without a word to anyone. He saddled Blaze and began his search. Tunner followed trails, questioned drifters, and pieced together clues. Determined to bring justice to the outlaws, days turned to weeks. Eventually, he found their hideout, deep in a canyon, a shadowy lair, concealed by the harsh landscape. Tunner crouched low, hidden among the shadows of the canyon's edge, as he surveyed the gang's campsite. The outlaws were celebrating their successful heist, laughing and clinking tin cups filled with whatever liquor they had managed to carry. The stolen money laid there, surrounded by stacks of bills and coins that glinted in the flickering firelight. Blaze neighed softly as Tunner prepared for the confrontation. The gang, 5 men strong, sat around a campfire counting their stolen loot. They laughed. Tunner emerged from the shadows, his revolver drawn. His presence was commanding, his voice steady as he called them out. The outlaws froze, their laughter silenced. As they turned to face him, the leader barked an order, and chaos erupted. The clearing filled with the deafening sound of gunfire and the acrid smell of smoke. The battle raged on, and Tunner's skills as a gunslinger kept him alive. He moved with a fluidity that came from years of practice, his every shot calculated and deliberate. In the chaos, one of the outlaws broke away and charged toward Blaze. The horse reared, but the outlaw fired a shot. That struck Blaze in the side. The horse let out a pained cry and collapsed to the ground. Tunner rushed to his fallen companion, his hands trembling as he cradled Blaze's head. The horse, who had been his unwavering companion through countless adventures, now lay still, his life slipping away. Tears streamed down Tunner's face as he whispered, "Blaze, you've been my best friend. I'll never forget you." Blaze's breathing slowed, and with one final sigh, he was gone, fueled by grief and anger. Tunner turned back to the gang with a newfound fury. He fought with everything he had, his heart aching with every pull of the trigger in a matter of moments. The dust settled, and the gang lay defeated, and the stolen money was his to return. But the victory felt hollow without Blaze by his side. Tunner carefully buried Blaze under the shade of a lone tree, marking the spot with a stone and the words, "Forever my partner," with a heavy heart. He rode back to town, now on foot, carrying the money that had cost him so much. After days of a harsh walk back to the town, alone, he was almost back. Tunner's return to the town was somber, his heart heavy with grief after the loss of Blaze. He carried the saddlebags of stolen money over his shoulder, his hat pulled low to shield his weary eyes. The sun was setting, casting a golden hue over the town as he approached. For a moment, he felt a flicker of pride. He had fulfilled his promise to bring justice to the outlaws and retrieve the town's stolen wealth. But as he neared the main street, something felt off. The usual bustling life of the town had been replaced by an eerie quiet. The townsfolk, who had once greeted him with warmth and admiration, now gathered in clusters, whispering and casting wary glances in his direction. Tunner slowed his pace, confusion washing over him. People who once cheered his name now raised their rifles in his direction. A rumor had spread like wildfire. Tunner, they claimed, had masterminded the robbery, staging the fight to appear as a hero. Heartbroken and betrayed, Tunner had no choice but to flee. His name was now at the top of wanted posters, and every corner of the West seemed to turn its back on him. Blaze's loss weighed heavily on him, and the betrayal of his people cut deeper than any wound. The rumor had spread like wildfire, claims that he had orchestrated the robbery, killed the gang to cover his tracks, and now sought to pose as a hero. The betrayal was staggering. These were the same people he had helped and protected for years, yet they now saw him as a criminal. The sheriff raised his hand, signaling Tunner's arrest. Men stepped closer, weapons at the ready. Tunner felt the trap closing around him. The realization dawning that surrendering would mean imprisonment, or worse. Panic surged through him. With a quick decision, he dropped the saddlebags and turned on his heel, running as fast as his legs could carry him. Gunfire erupted behind him, bullets striking the ground and walls around him. He sprinted through the narrow alleys, dodging obstacles and weaving between buildings, his heart pounding with fear and desperation. Tunner reached the outskirts of the town and broke into the open plains, the shouts of the pursuing townsfolk fading behind him. He didn't stop running until the town was a distant silhouette against the horizon. He had gone from being a trusted protector to the town's most wanted man. One lonely night, as he wandered the desolate outskirts of an abandoned mining town, he heard something strange. Music. A haunting yet mesmerizing tune floated through the air, pulling him toward an old saloon, nestled in a desolate part of the wilderness. It appeared almost out of nowhere, as if it had been conjured by the desert itself. The building was weathered and old, with faded wood and a creaking sign that swung gently in the wind. The name on the sign was barely legible, its letters worn down by time and sand, but it exuded an eerie yet inviting aura. Tunner approached cautiously, his boots crunching on the dry ground. The saloon stood in stark contrast to the emptiness around it, its windows glowing faintly with a warm, golden light. As he neared the entrance, he heard faint music, soft at first, but growing louder with each step. The melody was hauntingly beautiful. Unlike anything he'd ever heard, it seemed to reach deep into his soul, stirring emotions he thought he had long buried. Inside, strange lights danced, and the air was thick with a mysterious energy. The saloon wasn't just a building, it was a gateway, a place of metamorphosis where the broken found their strength in the rhythm of the world, and he felt a transformation begin. His heartache, his longing, and his love for music all coalesced into something new. Tunner was no longer in the world. He had become something extraordinary, a being tied to the music and rhythm of the world itself. From that day forward, Tunner was somewhere unlike any other, a vibrant, surreal realm where music, rhythm, and emotion define reality. Every corner of this world pulses with life. Tunner was forever in the world of Sprunki.